Cleopatra. Even today, her name shines with mystery and power. She's remembered as the last pharaoh of Egypt, a woman who defied empires and captured the hearts of the most powerful men of Rome. But beyond the myths of beauty and seduction lies a story of intelligence, strategy, and survival. Cleopatra lived in a world where women were rarely allowed to rule. Yet she not only ruled, she commanded armies, influenced politics, and preserved Egypt's independence for decades. To some, she was a goddess, to others, a dangerous enemy. Her life was filled with drama, brilliance, and tragedy, making her one of the most unforgettable figures in history. In this journey, we will explore her childhood, her rise to the throne, her alliances, her secrets of beauty, and the legacy she left behind. This is not just the story of a queen, it is the story of a woman who refused to be ordinary. Her childhood and rise to the throne. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC into the Ptolemaic dynasty, a family of Greek origin that had ruled Egypt for centuries. From the very beginning, her life was surrounded by politics and danger. The Ptolemies were known for family rivalries, betrayals, and even murders within the royal court. Unlike many of her ancestors, Cleopatra took a different path. She studied philosophy, languages, medicine, and astronomy. By her teenage years, she spoke not only Greek, but also Egyptian and several other languages. This made her unique because most of her dynasty never bothered to learn the language of the people they ruled. At the age of 18, Cleopatra became queen, alongside her younger brother. But it was not a peaceful transition. She faced enemies at court, foreign threats, and betrayal within her own family. To survive, she needed more than a crown. She needed intelligence, courage, and allies. Cleopatra the scholar. Cleopatra was far more than a political ruler. She was a true scholar. Ancient sources describe her as highly educated and deeply curious about the world. She studied in the great Library of Alexandria, which at the time was the center of human knowledge. She mastered mathematics, philosophy, astronomy, and even medicine. Cleopatra could hold her own in intellectual debates with philosophers and scholars of her time. Most remarkably, she spoke at least 9 languages fluently, which allowed her to communicate directly with foreign diplomats without interpreters. This gave her an advantage that very few rulers in history ever had. Knowledge was her weapon, and she used it to build alliances, strengthen her reign, and command respect from both Egyptians and foreigners. Her reputation as a thinker and speaker was as powerful as her beauty, proving that her mind was one of her greatest strengths. Her beauty rituals. Throughout history, Cleopatra has been remembered as a symbol of beauty. But was it only her natural appearance that made her famous, or did she have secrets? Ancient writers tell us that Cleopatra was not necessarily the most beautiful woman in the world, but she had an irresistible presence, charm, and charisma. She also mastered beauty rituals that enhanced her aura. She bathed in milk mixed with honey to keep her skin soft and radiant. She used natural oils such as almond and castor oil for her hair. She painted her eyes with kohl eyeliner made from minerals, not just as decoration, but also to protect against the sun. Perfumes made from roses, cinnamon, and myrrh surrounded her everywhere she went, making her unforgettable. Cleopatra understood something timeless. Beauty is not just about looks, it is about confidence, ritual, and the way you carry yourself. The meeting with Julius Caesar. In 48 BC, Cleopatra made a bold move that would change her life forever. Her throne was threatened by her own brother, and she needed the support of Rome's most powerful man, Julius Caesar. But how could she reach him? The story goes that she had herself secretly smuggled into Caesar's palace, wrapped inside a carpet. When she was unrolled in front of him, Caesar was stunned by her courage, her intelligence, and her charm. Their meeting was not only personal, it was political. Cleopatra knew that Rome held the key to her survival. With Caesar's support, she regained her throne and defeated her rivals. Their relationship turned into a legendary romance, and together they had a son, Caesarion. But more than love, this alliance was about power. Cleopatra had proven that she could play the dangerous game of politics with skill and daring. Cleopatra as a political genius. Cleopatra was not just surviving, she was ruling with ambition. She strengthened Egypt's economy through trade, introduced reforms, and positioned herself as the living goddess Isis, blending religion with politics. Unlike many rulers, she directly engaged with her people, speaking their language and honoring their traditions. She understood the power of image and propaganda. She portrayed herself as both a Greek queen and an Egyptian pharaoh, uniting two cultures under her rule. More than that, she knew how to balance diplomacy and force. She negotiated with Rome, secured Egypt's independence, and built alliances that allowed her to maintain power for nearly 20 years. Her political genius kept Egypt alive at a time when Rome was swallowing nations one after another. Cleopatra was not a puppet of Rome. She was its equal, even if her enemies refused to admit it. Cleopatra and Mark Antony. After Caesar's assassination in 44 BC, Cleopatra's future was once again uncertain, but soon she formed another powerful alliance with Mark Antony, one of Rome's greatest generals. Their meeting in Tarsus became legendary. Cleopatra sailed to him in a golden barge, dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, surrounded by music, incense, and luxury. Antony was captivated. Their relationship was both romantic and strategic. Together, they envisioned a new empire that could rival Rome itself. Cleopatra gave him children, and Antony gave her military protection. For a time, they lived in luxury and strength, blending love and power. But this alliance also made them dangerous enemies of Octavian, the rising ruler of Rome. What began as passion and politics soon turned into a battle for survival. The Battle of Actium. In 31 BC, everything changed. Octavian declared war on Antony and Cleopatra. Their forces clashed at the famous Battle of Actium, a naval confrontation off the coast of Greece. Cleopatra commanded her fleet alongside Antony, but the battle turned into disaster. Betrayals, bad strategy, and superior Roman tactics led to their defeat. During the chaos, Cleopatra retreated with her ships, and Antony followed her. The retreat marked the downfall of their power. From that moment, Octavian pursued them relentlessly. Their dream of ruling a vast empire collapsed. For Antony and Cleopatra, the Battle of Actium was not just a military loss. It was the beginning of the end for their lives, their love, and Egypt's independence. Cleopatra's death. In 30 BC, with Octavian's armies closing in, Antony and Cleopatra faced their final tragedy. Antony, believing Cleopatra had already died, fell on his own sword. When he discovered she was still alive, he died in her arms. Cleopatra was now alone. Octavian planned to take her to Rome as a prisoner, paraded in chains, but Cleopatra refused to be humiliated. She chose her own ending. Ancient accounts say she allowed a venomous asp, a snake, to bite her. Others suggest she used poison hidden in her jewelry. Whatever the truth, Cleopatra's death was dramatic and symbolic. She left the world as she had lived, fearless, proud, and unbroken by her enemies. Cleopatra's legacy. Cleopatra's death marked the end of Egypt's independence and the beginning of Roman domination, yet her story did not die with her. For centuries, she has been remembered not just as a seductress, but as a brilliant strategist, a learned scholar, and a powerful queen. She broke the rules of her time, proving that a woman could be as intelligent, ambitious, and influential as any man. Her image has been painted, sung, and filmed countless times, making her one of the most famous women in history. Cleopatra remains a symbol of female power, resilience, and mystery. Even today, we're still fascinated by the queen who defied Rome and lived on her own terms. Cleopatra may have died more than 2,000 years ago, but her legend is eternal.